Hello, and welcome now to lecture 73. And in this lecture, let's start importing assets into our project, into our scene. And this is a fun time, because this is when everything really starts to pop. When you start bringing the fixtures and fittings in, everything, you get that detail into it, and it really just, it helps everything. So it's a lot of fun, actually. So before we do that, let's just make sure that we've got the extras highlighted again so that we can see the empties attached to the assets when we bring them in. And I've got the assets pack actually open right now, which is a part of this course. And in this we've got the optional sofa, and we've got the island, and then we've got the bed head, and we've got the hot tub, and then we've got the day bed. We've got the island light set, and then we've got the reading lamp. So I think I'm going to start with the day bed, which will go next to the pool. I think that'll be a nice one to start with. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that the ground floor is selected here, so that the day bed comes in on the ground floor file. And then I'll grab this, bring it back in again, and I'll select the day bed. And I'll just open up the daybed file here and make sure everything's selected. And with that done, I'll press Control C, and then I'll just drag this file, this one out of the way for a moment. Then I'll come back into this scene, and I'll press Control V, and there we go. There's our daybed that's coming over here. I'll just grab the empty here and bring it over with this to where I'd like it, which is somewhere this side. And I'll press 7 so I can see this from the orthographic view. And I'll go ahead and bring it over like this. Maybe take it back a little bit. Maybe just rotate it slightly so that the daybed would be viewing the view, so it sees the view. If you're sitting on that daybed, you'd want to see out into the view. And there we go. Is it good? Let's see. Is it touching the ground? Let's have a quick look. Does it want to come down? It does want to come down a little bit by the look. Yes, it does. So we'll grab the empty again and just pull the whole thing down until it's just touching the ground. There we go. That's cool. Alright, so there's our daybed in position, and we can always just move it around using the empty if we want to later on. Sort of just position everything in our scene after. So there we go, there's the daybed in. So I think the next thing I want to do is, what should we bring in next? Let's bring in the reading lamp for the sofa. I'll collapse the first floor, we don't need that for a moment. I'll just click on the ground floor file again. And now I'll bring in this one again. And let's go ahead and find the reading lamp. There it is. Let's compress the daybed file. And let's see if we can find the lamp, the floor lamp. There it is. And make sure that's all selected, and it is. So once we've done that, let's press Control C. Let's take this one out of the way. And let's press Control V and bring it in. Let's find that lamp, and here it is. And let's just grab the empty and then bring it in using the empty. I think I'll press 7 to see this from the orthographic view, and I'll press Z and I'll go into wireframe. And I think I'll hide the first floor for a moment. And then I'll position the lamp now. So I'm going to bring it maybe something like this, just off that floor track like that. And now I'll go ahead and rotate it to maybe about there like that. And let's see what that looks like. Maybe we'll take it in a little bit more and rotate it on the Z a bit more, RZ. Bring that in. Make sure that's not clashing with the sofa, and it doesn't look like it is. Let's check the height. So maybe let's go back to solid mode or shaded mode. Let's go to the rendered mode, sorry. And yeah, it's a little low. So let's pull it up a little bit. And there we go, that's cool. So there's our reading lamp in, and when we're ready we'll just put a light in that as well, just to help illuminate our scene. Or just illuminate the sofa to help it look more realistic. Alright, so what's next? Let's go ahead and bring back the first floor again. And let's bring in next, one of my favourites, let's bring in the hot tub and put that into position. So I'll select now the first floor, there we go. And I'll drag this one over again. And I'll go ahead now and hit the hot tub, select all of the hot tub, there we go. And I'll press Control C. And I'll drag this out the way. And I'll press Control V and bring that in. So it's brought it in on the ground floor, so let's go ahead and bring this up. Let's go ahead and make sure the height is good on that next. So I'll press GZ to bring it down on the Z axis until I've just got a slight shadow underneath it, and that's about right for me. As long as I can see a slight shadow, I'm happy. And now let's go ahead and bring that in on the Y axis to center it a bit more. So I'll press G and Y and just bring that forward until we're kind of happy with the position. Maybe, is there anything else we want to do with that? Maybe bring it forward a bit more on the Y, so I'll press G and Y, bring it forward a little bit more. And I think I'll just take it over slightly in the X, so I'll press G and X now and just bump it over just a little bit. And I think I'm happy with that there. I think that's about right. Okay, so there is something else I want to do now, actually. One of the reasons to have this kind of roof structure here in the middle is to make some shadowing, to add some extra detail. So I think that's the next thing I want to do, is I want to light up this area from above. So I'll grab this middle roof and I'll press Shift S, and I'm going to say cursor to the selected, there we go, and I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to bring in a light, and I'm going to bring in a sun. Okay, the next thing I'll do is I'll bring that up like this, maybe even higher than that, and I'll press 7 so I can see this here, and I'll bring it back in the Y like this, and maybe take it over in the X as well. There we go. I'm going to rotate that in the X axis now, so I'll press R and X just to make sure that the sun's shining sort of over the middle roof section like this. And now I'll rotate it slightly in the Z, RZ, and just make sure that's sort of doing something like that. That's cool. Alright, so let's have a look inside now and see what that looks like. And yep, that's created some nice detail in there. I like what that's done. That's just added some extra realism to it. So let's click on the light one now and just see if there's anything we want to do with this. Do we want to play around with the colour? I think we do. It's the sun after all. It can't be that white. So let's put a little bit of warmth in it. There we go, that's cool. And if we can look at changing the strength, intensify it. Is that a little much? That's maybe a little too much. I'll bring this down. To somewhere around there, I'd say. And if I adjust the angle here, I'll take the angle down to 0. And that makes our shadowing, our shading very sharp. So let's go ahead and take this up now to kind of diffuse the shadowing a bit. And now you can see we've lost the sharpness of it, and I quite like that. So I'll bring that down a little bit. 1.5, that's quite nice. Maybe take it up a little bit more. And there we go. I think I like that now. We've just lost the slight sharpness to it, but it's still looking good. So I could try rotating that in the X a little bit more and just see what effect that has. is now you can see it's on that wall there as well. So do I like that, or do I want to keep that? I'm going to leave that about there, I think, just like that. Alright, I think the only other thing I want to do maybe is go ahead and take the hot tub back a little bit. Maybe to about there, like that. And there we go, that's cool. Okay, that's looking good. I like that now. Say we could just play around with the intensity of the sun. Maybe bring the strength down a bit more. And I think I'll leave that about there. But you can see the effect it's producing. It's just producing some really nice shadow detail just to add to the realism of our scene. I think the next thing I want to do is actually take a walk around our scene. I don't know if you remember, but I showed you the fly walk mode within Blender. So let's have a go with that. So if you hold down the Shift and tilde key, if you don't know which is the tilde key, it's not a name used much. It's the button directly above your tab key. So hold the Shift and the tilde key and you'll be in walk fly mode. And now the next thing to do is apply gravity. So hit the tab key. And there you go. So now we've hit the deck. Now we're actually walking on the ground level. And I'm going to press W and just move forward now as if we're in gaming mode basically. Just to check out what everything looks like. Careful not to to fall in the swimming pool. There we go. That's looking good. The actual bed frame, the day bed's looking good. The walnut is really nice, and the pillows are looking great. So let's go inside our house and see how it's looking. And I like that lamp. That's good. Let's say we'll put a light in that soon, and that's looking good. And I like the shadow on the marble. The highlight, the shadow of the reading lamp is just you can see that in the marble. That's nice. Nothing to see there yet. So let's go up the stairs. And it's going to get a bit dark up there. We'll have to just sort of feel our way a little bit. We don't have a light on the landing. And I'll go up these stairs here. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get through. And there we go. I've kind of walked through the wall, but that's okay. And yeah, this is looking good. I like that shadowing detail. That's nice. I like the shading from that middle frame there, that middle roof section. And that's looking good. Yep, that's looking good. I like that. And the hot tub. Yeah, that's looking good. Yeah, I could spend some time on that. I'll be quite happy with that. And this bedroom here. This is looking good as well. Yeah, I'm liking that bed frame. The walnut's popping and the lights are looking good. We're getting a real sense of what our animations and our renders are going to look like by using the walk fly mode. Let's just check out the bathroom. There we go. I actually accidentally walked into the hot tub for a minute. And let's have a look inside the bathroom, see how that looks. And that's looking good too. The mirror's looking good, and the colour in there, it's really quite warm colours in there. And then that sort of cladding on the wall as well, that's looking good. When we get a bath in there and we got some fittings in there, that's going to look great. Alright, so I'll hit escape now to actually just go out of the walk fly mode. And I think that's it for this lecture. So in the next lecture, let's start importing our kitchen from the Blender kit file. Alright, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to what lecture are we on now? Lecture 74. Welcome to lecture 74. And in this lecture, let's import our kitchen from Blender kit, and let's position that and do any sort of additional things that we need to do with that. Be a fun lecture. We'll see the kitchen go in, and that's always a lot of fun. So I think the first thing we need to do is bring the cursor away from the main model, so that when we first of all import the kitchen, we've got it clear of everything else, so that we can just check it through. So I think the first thing I'll do is I'll press 7 on the numpad so we get this in the orthographic view. And I'll come over to the tab here and click on this one for cursor. This allows us to reposition the cursor, and I'll stick the cursor anywhere, maybe about here like this. Straight away, I'll click on the move again because it's so easy to forget. And then you just keep on accidentally repositioning the cursor constantly. So I'll just put the cursor right there like that. Now I'll right click and I'll set the origin to the 3D cursor. And there we go. Now I'll come up to the Blender Kit tab here at the top. And I'll click on it, of course. And make sure on the side tab here that you have this open, this Blender Kit tab. And make sure that down here in max resolution you have this quite low. So for me, I'm going to go 512 by 512. Again, if you're running a really top-end GPU, you can set this a bit higher if you want. But I'm always trying to make this course for everybody. So I'm going to keep it quite low. And then if you can import at a higher rate, then you can. But remember, you're going to be importing a lot of assets. So just bear that in mind when you set your resolution. But for me, I'm going to leave it really low at 512 by 512. So up here now, I'm going to type in here, I'm going to type kitchen. And of course I'm going to hit enter. And there we go. Oh, I'm going to come over to the filters here. I'm going to hit this drop down. And I'm going to hit free first. So that we see the free assets first. And now I'm just going to look for a kitchen. So we've got some really nice kitchens. So this is a nice one. So I'll right click on this. If you left click, you instantly download the assets. I don't want to do that. So I'll right click. And let's inspect this. And it's only 30 megabytes. So it's very small. It's a 4K resolution. So it's a nice kitchen. And of course it's free. I'll close this for now and just carry on looking for a moment. Here's another nice one here. I'll right click on this. So it's a rather large file. It's 123 megabytes, but you can see it's got a lot of detail in there. So it's up to you. And of course, this is quite a keystone asset that we're bringing in. The kitchen is always the sort of the center of the home. Let's just look around a little bit more. Let's carry on shopping. There's another very nice kitchen. Bit of a corner kitchen setup. And it's completely up to you what kitchen you kind of choose. There's another one there, which is quite nice. I'll hit this little icon here to carry on over. And there's this one, which maybe that's the same kitchen as we just saw. Another kitchen there, which is quite nice. A little big, maybe. And I'm already kind of decided I'm going to go for this one. I quite like this one. So I'm going to right click on it just to check it, to make sure that it's not too big. So it's 95 megabytes. It's quite a large file, but it's got quite a few assets with it. We've got the sink, we've got an oven and a hob, and we've got an island. So there's quite a lot going on. So yeah, I think I'm going to use this. So I'll close this like this. And now I'm going to go ahead and just left click on the item. And that brings that in just like that. So we can have a look at this now and just see what we think. And so yeah, I mean, that's looking great. Look at the detail on the hob. It never fails to surprise me, the quality of some of the assets in Blender Kit. They're absolutely brilliant, especially for free assets. So yeah, that's looking great. I think that's absolutely spot on. Yep, that'll do us just nicely. What I did forget to do actually was create a file for this. So we need to find out where this is just landed. So I'll just maybe select that item and see where it is. And here it is. It's in the kitchen, here in the outside. So it's not exactly where I want it. So what I'm going to do is just click on the interior like this. Maybe open this file up. And just hit on this little icon here. And I'll double click on interior 3 because that's the file we just created, and I'll call this the kitchen. And I'll click enter. And now I'll go ahead and compress the kitchen in the outside file And just go ahead and bring that into the kitchen here like this, just so it's in the right place. And now I can compress the outside file. Okay, so let's just see if the empty works. So here's the empty, and let's just make sure that all these objects are assigned to this empty. So we'll just move the empty and make sure that everything's working, and it is, so that's great. So what I'm going to do now, I think, is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to work just in this, in solid display, just to take the pressure off our GPUs for a while. I think I'll go ahead and turn off the first floor, we don't need that. And I'll go ahead and turn off the ceiling panel as well. And for a moment, I'm just going to go ahead and just turn off this Blender Kit tab, just hide that. And let's press 7 so we can see this from above. Let's bring this over slightly in the X. And now let's rotate that in the Z. So we'll press R, 180, or is it 9? No, just 90, I'm sorry. Enter. And now let's go ahead and bring this over in the Y axis. And bring this over a little bit more, just reposition everything. There we go. And just bring this over like this until we're looking good. And that's about where I want it, about there. I'll leave a little bit of space behind, and there we go, that's cool. So I want to leave a slight bit of gap down the side here, because in the real world with kitchens, you would never get the doors of a kitchen panel absolutely perfectly up against the wall. You would leave a little bit of gap for what's known as a scribe panel. So we'll do the same, just to add to the realism of our scene. But I'll bring it over a little bit more in the Y, to maybe something like that, and I think that's good. Okay, so I think the next thing I want to do is bring the island over. So I'll just select the island and then the harp here. And I just bring this over and just centralize this more in the room. And maybe bring it over in the X-axis just to bring it out a little bit more like this. And yeah, that's good. Let's look at the height and see how we're doing with that. See if that's sitting on the floor. And it seems to be. That's good. Okay, I think I'll go back to rendered view for a moment just to see our progress and see how it's looking. And yeah, that's looking good. That's looking fine. I'll bring back that ceiling panel just to defuse the light a little bit so we can see what we've got. Make sure that it's sitting on the floor nicely, and it is. And yeah, I think that's looking great. I'm really pleased with that. So I think the next thing we do is go ahead and put that trim panel that I talked about up the wall on this side just to close this little gap up. So I'll hide the ground floor walls. Let's go ahead and hide that. And let's go ahead and hide as well the outside. So we've just got our kitchen. And now let's go back to solid mode. Let's go ahead and select the base maybe. Let's tap into edit mode. And let's go ahead and just grab this face here. So I'll press 3 so I can select faces. Grab this face here and just bring this out a little bit like this. And that's cool. Maybe a little bit more, it doesn't really matter. Bring this out about there. And now I'll press 2 so I can select edges. I'll grab that edge there and I'll press Ctrl R. I'll bring a loop in and I'll just bring that loop to about there like that. I'll press 3 now, grab this face here. And I'll press E and then Z and just bring this up in the Z axis. Carry on bringing that up until it's pretty much flush with the other one. And there we go, that's good. So now we have a trim panel in position as well. We tap out of edit mode now and we could go ahead and bring back the walls. And we could go back into rendered mode for a minute just to check that. And yeah, that works now. It just adds to the realism of the kitchen to have that little black trim piece up the corner rather than the oak doors hard up against the wall. So I think that's just a nice little detail to add to this. So now that we've done that, I think the next thing we need to do is sort of fill this gap that we've got here. And I'm thinking we're going to use a fridge to do this. So yeah, I think that's what's next. So let's go ahead and type fridge in here. And let's see what we get. So we go, this Coca-Cola one. This rather strange steampunk one, so that's really cool. And this is more kind of what I'm looking for, this one here. So I'll right click on this and just inspect it. It's 33 megabytes at 6K, so this is quite a nice one. Let's see what else we've got. We've got this one here. Nice one there. It's really up to you what you bring in. So these two are the two that's appealing to me most. I'll right click on this one and have a look. It's just 10 megabytes, so that's nice. But it's obviously up to you, but I think I'm going to bring this one in. So with that done, I'll just click out of the way, and the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that I've got my kitchen selected. And now I'll go ahead and left click on this fridge like this. And there we go, it's brought it in well clear of the rest of the model, so we can go ahead and just take a look at it and make sure it's what we want. Again, it's looking really, really good. I'm fine with that. We have this Electrolux badge here. It's got lots of details. And again, if you want something else, it's completely up to you. But for me, this is absolutely fine. So I'll grab this item, and it doesn't look like it's got an empty on it. But it all seems to be joined, so it's going to be easy enough to sort of move and scale, so we're okay. So I'll press R and Z, and I'll press 9-0. And that's actually moved it the wrong way, so I'll hit the negative key to bring it around in the opposite direction. And with that done now, I'm going to go ahead and go over to just solid mode for a while. And I'll press 7. And I'll go ahead and bring this over now. And drop it in position where we want it. And I'll go ahead and take it back a little bit. It's going to be into the wall, but it doesn't really matter. And there we go. Let's see what that looks like. And it's a little small, so I'll go ahead and hit S and just scale this item up. Maybe take it over a little bit more on the Y now as well. And that's looking good. Do I want to scale that up anymore? And it's just going to look a little bit silly if it doesn't already, to be honest. Is that too big? I think we can get away with that size-wise. Maybe scale it down a little bit. But I don't really want to scale it up any more than that, which means we need to kind of scale our kitchen up instead. So I'll take this over, so this is where we want it, kind of like here. But maybe before we scale it, we've got another issue, which is with the handle being on this side, that means that fridge doesn't really work, because every time you open that door, it's going to be on the wrong side. You're going to have to kind of walk around the door to be able to see inside it. And that's just a detail that would really bug me. So I think I'll fix that first. So with the fridge selected, I'll hit the / just to isolate it. And I mean, we could go ahead and just make a copy and mirror it. But if we do that, all this signage, this nice signage on the front of the fridge will be the wrong way round. It'll mirror that as well. So that'll look a little bit weird. So I think we need to do a little something else. So let's select the item. And I'll hit this. I'll just hide this little big thing here for a moment. And maybe just bring this down to give us more space. And with the item selected, I'll tap into edit mode like this. And I'll make sure that I'm selecting faces. And I'll grab this face here, maybe this one here, and one here as well. One there as well. And I'll hit Control+ and expand on the selection until we got all of that. And with that done, I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift-D and Y and bring this copy over like this. And there we go. With that done, I'll press P and I'll go ahead and separate by selection, and we'll tap out of edit mode so we can just work on this one. And I think with that done, I'm going to tap into edit mode with this one now. And I'll just select maybe this face here. And I'll press Shift S. And I'll say cursor to the selected. There we go. And now I'll tap out of edit mode. And I'll right click and I'll set the origin to the 3D cursor. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is press Shift D. I'll right click twice. And I'll go ahead and mirror in, let's try the Y-axis. And yeah, that's worked. That's perfect. With that done, we can go ahead and delete this one. And we can go ahead and tap into edit mode with this one again now. And we can go ahead and delete some of these items. So I'll select this one, this one, this one, and this one. I'll hit Control plus. And then I'll go ahead and press X. And I'll delete all faces. And there we go, that's good. Okay, so I think the next thing to do is tap out of edit mode, and let's grab all these items here, and let's press Ctrl J and join them into one again. I'll grab these, tap into edit mode with this again, and I'll select everything here, and I'll just hit Ctrl plus to make sure that everything is selected. I'll press 7 on the numpad to see this from above, and I'll go ahead and take this over now. And go ahead and reline this up to something like that. Let's have a look at that, see how it looks. And or maybe we tap out of edit mode and see how that's doing. Maybe we can just tweak that over a little bit more. So I'll just select the item again and tap into edit mode. And I'll press G and Y. And just take that over ever so slightly until that's lining up. And there we go, that's looking good. Alright, I'll tap out of edit mode, and I think I'll bring everything back. And I think the next thing I need to do is maybe grab this kitchen here. And I'll just grab the empty, actually. And I'll just bring this over slightly. And now I just want to scale it up just in the Y. So I'll press S and Y. And just go ahead and scale this up a little bit. Now take it over, and we'll just need to sort of tweak this stuff for a moment until we get what we're looking for. I'll scale this up slightly more in the Y, and take it over. And I want to have just a little bit of trim left on this side, and a little bit of gap this side. So I'll just take that over again, and maybe scale it up a tiny bit more. So I'll press S and Y. Maybe take that over again until we get. So I've got a nice little gap down that side. And if we got a little gap here, that's looking good. So I'd say that's about right like that now. I think that's looking good. So I might just want to scale this up slightly in the Z. So I'll press S and Z. Just scale this fridge up just ever so slightly to about there, like that, and see how that looks. And that's still looking good. That doesn't look wrong. Okay, so I think we're looking good overall. I'll just hit the rendered mode for a moment just to bring everything back, see how we're looking. And yeah, I think that's looking good. I like the fridge in there. Now the door's fixed so that the door opens the correct way. That was always going to bug me a little bit. And the kitchen's looking really nice. Maybe the island just wants to go over a little bit. Give us some space this side. Maybe take the hob over as well. Now the island a little bit. And there we go, that's good. Okay, we just have this space up here that we need to fix next. So that's my next little thing to do. So I think the next thing I'll do is just grab this fridge again, and I'll press Shift S and cursor to the selected. And I'll press Shift A. And we'll bring in a cube. And let's go back over to shaded mode for a moment. And maybe I'll bring this up in the Z axis like this. And let's go ahead and scale it down. And we can scale it down the Z now, so I'll press S and Z. And then maybe take this up until that's looking about right. Maybe take it up a little bit more in the Z. And now maybe scale it down in the X. So I'll press S and X. Bring this down like this. There we go. And bring this over. Press 7 so we see this from above. Maybe just bring this into here like this. Scale it down a tiny bit in the Y, S and Y. Maybe just bring that over there like that. And I want a little bit of gap on this side. And I'd say that's enough just to introduce a similar sort of scribe. Excuse me, a similar sort of scribe panel. Sorry, I'm choking a bit. I'm just going to pause for a minute and have a bit of a cough. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So, yeah, where were we? We're going to put a similar bit of a scribe panel on this side. Okay, so let's tap into edit mode with this one, and let's press 2. Grab this edge here. And we'll press Ctrl R. Put a loop in, and then bring that loop forward to about there, like that. Let's press 3. Grab this panel here, and we'll extrude that now. So we'll press E and Y and just bring that forward like this, and there we go. That's cool. So now we have that little scribe detail there as well. Okay, so let's tap out of edit mode with that, and let's go to item here. Let's fix the scale. So let's press Ctrl A and apply rotation and scale. Let's go back over to rendered mode for a moment and see what we've got. And of course that's white, which is not what we want. And maybe we want to apply just a little bevel to that as well. And I'll take it down ever so slightly in the Z to about there. Let's tap back into edit mode with it. And let's just grab some edges, or yeah, let's just press 2, grab maybe this edge here, hold shift and grab this one, and this one. And let's go ahead and press Ctrl B, and let's put an ever so just slight bevel on that. There we go. Let's zoom in on this and see what we get. And just increase our segments to maybe a 3, and there we go. Alright, let's tap out of edit mode for a moment, and let's go ahead and bring our node textures back up. Let's select this one for a moment and see what it's called, and it's called Oak Veneer. So that's cool. Let's select this one again now. Let's hit this little drop down, and we'll type in here, Oak Veneer. And there it is, Oak Veneer. And let's click on that. Alright, so maybe we need to do a UV map on this. Let's tap into edit mode, we'll press A, and then U, and let's do a smart UV project. Make sure you've got an island margin, and hit unwrap. Let's bring over the UV maps here so we can see what we've got. Let's grab everything, and let's rotate that. Bring the grain direction about the same as the others. And let's hit S and scale this down to increase the size of this. Let's see if that's about the same as the others, and it is. And we could just position this now to a place that we like. And I'd say that's about similar there, like that. I think that's fine, so that's good. So we just have this black trim to do here now. So I'll press 3 so I can select faces, and I'll just grab that edge there and then that one there. And that's all we really do. Or we could grab this one here too. And then we could go over to Material Properties tab here, and we could hit the plus sign. And then we could find the black MDF, I think it is. Let's just select that. And with black MDF selected, and then these faces still selected, let's go ahead and hit assign. And there we go, that's cool. Let's tap out of edit mode with that and see what we've got. Okay, we have a bit too much of a gap above the fridge, so I think we need to do something with that. So we could either scale our fridge up or we could adjust this panel. So I think let's go ahead and adjust this panel. So I'll select the fridge and then I'll select this panel, and I'll go ahead and isolate those two. And let's go over to solid mode for a moment. Let's bring down our node texture editor. And let's press Z and let's go into wireframe with this. Let's tap into edit mode. And let's press 2 so we can select edges. And let's just grab all the edges just on this fridge here, on the top panel, and just bring these down like this. Until we've reduced that gap to a reasonable amount like that. And that's cool, just like that. Okay, so let's tap out of edit mode with that. So back in object mode, let's go back into solid mode for a moment, see if everything's alright. And with that done, let's just go back into rendered mode and see what we've got. Let's hit the / to bring everything back. And that's tidied that up and just made that look nicer. Okay, so with that done, I think that's pretty much, let's bring everything back. Now let's bring back the outside and let's bring back the first floor and see how we're looking. And it was a long lecture, but it was definitely worth doing. That's our kitchen now, looking absolutely awesome. So in the next lecture, what we'll do is just do a few final tweaks to our kitchen. I want to add a little bit of an oak extension to the island so that we can get some stools around it. So you have a sort of a breakfast area. And we need to bring in our lamp to suspend over our kitchen island. Okay, thanks very much. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 75. And in this lecture, let's do a little bit of work to the island. So I want to bring in like an extension to the island to give us a bit of a breakfast bar off the island here, because it doesn't seem like there's anywhere really to sit maybe and eat your breakfast, have your morning toast or whatever you do. So I want to do something just to make it look a little bit more inviting than it is right now. And then I want to put some feature lights in above this kitchen island to illuminate this area. So yeah, let's see what we can do. So I think the first thing I actually want to do is just shorten our kitchen island a little bit. So I think let's go into solid mode for a while. And now let's go ahead and grab the island itself and tap into edit mode. Make sure you got faces selected, grab that face there, and grab the face of the plinth as well. And I'll just go ahead and take those back a little bit like this. To, I think, something like that. Should be nice. Alright, once I've done that, I'll tap out of edit mode. In fact, I'll tap back in. Sorry about that. And I'll grab that face there, and I'll press Shift S, and then cursor to the selected. Alright. For a minute, we'll probably turn it back on. For a minute, let's tap out of edit mode, and let's go to this one, and let's turn off extras to get rid of all these lights that we're seeing. Now, with that done, let's press Shift A. And let's bring in a cube. And there we go. Make sure that kitchen is in the kitchen setting. And actually, let's go ahead and name this cube. So we'll name this island. What should we call this? Island add-on. There we go. Something like that. Name it whatever you want, really. It's completely up to you. Click enter. Let's scale this down straight away in the Z. So I'll press, actually I'll just scale it down to begin with. I'll hit S and just scale this down, bring it up, and let's scale this down now in the Z. So I'll press S and Z and go ahead and scale this down. Something like this. I'll now grab this item and the island. I'll hit the / to isolate them so we can work these. I think the next thing I want to do is actually just grab this. I'll press 7 to see this in the orthographic view, and I'll pull this back in the y-axis to something like that, I think. And now I'll tap into edit mode with this, and I'll grab this face here. I'll press 7 again now, and I'll go ahead and pull this face out like this. That should be good. And now I'll go ahead and grab this face here. I'll press 7 again, and then I'll pull this face out to something like that, I would say. I'll now maybe look at the thickness and just see if I'm happy with it, and I'll pull it up a tiny little bit to maybe there, like that. That looks good to me. And now I'll tap out of edit mode, and I'll press 1 to get the orthographic view on this. And I'll go ahead and take this down until it's just sitting on the island. And that looks good to me, just like that. Okay, so that's kind of our kitchen extension. It's really not that bad at all. So now I either need to put some legs or I need to return this down. I think I'll just return this down to the ground. I think that'd be quite a nice feature. So I think I'll tap back into edit mode with this one. And I'll press 2 so I can select edges. I'll grab this edge here. I'll press Ctrl R. And I'll go ahead and bring this loop now to the edge like this. And that looks about right. Now I'll press 3. I'll grab this face like this. And I'll go ahead and extend that, sorry. So I'll press E and Z and extrude that out in the Z. I'll press 1 so I can see this orthographically. And now I'll go ahead and keep on taking this down until it's pretty much level with the other one, like that. Now that I've done that, I'll press I to inset it. Bring it in slightly. Whoops, too much. That's good like that. I'll press 7 to see this orthographically. Sorry, I'll press 1 to see this orthographically. And now I just want to extrude that down to the red axis. So I'll press E and just extrude this down until it's sitting on the X axis like this. And that's our feature on that. Okay, so what do we need to do now? I think we could actually get rid of some of these curves. I don't think it's needed. So I'll press 2 and we'll grab this one, hold shift and grab this one. This one, I'll grab this one as well. Right click this one and this one. And I'll right click and I'll go ahead and dissolve those edges. And that's much cleaner now. That's much simpler geometry and that's all we need. And this we can't reduce. This geometry is about as minimal as we can take on this. Okay, so with that done, let's tap out of edit mode and let's check the scale and it's out. So let's press Ctrl A and let's fix rotation and scale. Let's use a modifier, add modifier, and let's use generate modifier and a bevel modifier. Let's have a look at our bevels. Let's add a 0 to the right of the decimal point. And click 0, 1, sorry, and click enter. And let's add another 0 there. Click enter, and now we're looking better. And I'll turn that 1 into a 2. Click enter. And I'll go ahead and increase the segments to a 4. And there we go, that's perfect. So with that done, I'll go ahead and apply that. And I'll also go do a shade auto smooth. And there we go. That's absolutely perfect. Alright, so with that done, let's go over to rendered mode now and see what we're going to do with this. Okay, so now that's looking good. I think the next thing we need to do is apply material to this. So let's grab it. And let's hit the little drop down here in the node editor. And let's look for our oak veneer. And go ahead and click on this and see what we get. So we need to do maybe a UV map on this. So I'll tap into edit mode and I'll press A. And I'll press U and I'll go for Smart UV Project. Make sure you get an Euler margin of around 20 and go ahead and unwrap. And let's press A for all. Let's grab our shapes and let's go ahead and do a scale on this to try and get the size that we want. And I'd say that's looking pretty good now like that. But the edges look terrible. They just don't look good at all. So we'll need to do something with that. So we need to actually add a little bit more mesh to this, I think. So what I'll do is I'll press 1 so we can select edges, select vertices. I'll grab that vertices there, hold shift, I'll grab that one, I'll right click and I'll connect vertex paths. And there we go. Now with that done, I can press 3, I can select this face here and I can go ahead and maybe rotate this. Maybe scale this until we get something going on that we like. And yeah, that's better. So let's do the same with this one now. We could rotate this one as well. And go ahead and scale this. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe a little bit more on that. And there we go, that's fine with that. Let's just tap out of edit mode for a minute and see how that looks. And yeah, that's looking fine. So we just need to do the same now on this side, because this side still doesn't look any good. So let's go ahead and tap back into edit mode. And make sure that it's vertices selection we're on. Grab this one, hold shift, and grab this one. Right click and connect vertex paths. And now press 3 so I can select faces. Grab this face and let's go ahead and rotate that to the horizontal, I think, like this. And let's go ahead and scale this up. And the direction's wrong, so I'll hit R and rotate that around this way. And let's see what that looks like. Maybe we scale that up a little bit more. And there we go, that's fine now. So let's do the same with this one. Let's go ahead and rotate that. And scale this up. And I think that's just fine now, just like that. Okay, so there's our oak extension to our kitchen island, and I think that looks absolutely fine. But we could do with just putting that little bit of black material just there. So let's tap into edit mode again. And let's press 3 so we can select faces. Grab this bottom face here, hold down Control and press plus to make more of a selection until we're there like that. Come over to here and hit the Material Properties tab. And hit the plus sign. And let's go ahead and find our black MDF, and there it is. And with this still selected, let's go ahead and assign that. And there we go, that should be as simple as that. Alright, let's tap out edit mode with that and see what we're looking like, and that's looking good. Let's go ahead and bring everything back, so I'll hit the / on the numpad and see how that's looking. And yeah, that's looking fine now. That's made a big difference to this. So hopefully now when we get a couple of stools on this side, that should look really nice. So that we've done that, let's actually bring in our light to go above our island. I think that'd be cool. So what we can do is we can, first of all, let's drag in our Blender Assets file and make sure that you select everything to do with this kitchen lamp, including the empty. And if that's not selectable, then come up here and make sure that extras is turned on if you can't see that. So select everything there and press Control C for copy, and then let's just throw this out the way. And let's zoom out on this one, and let's go ahead and press Control V and bring this in like this. And for some reason it's brought it in at the back here, but it's fine. So now that we've done that, let's actually just grab the actual empty and let's rotate that. So let's press RZ 90 and click enter. There we go. And now let's go ahead and take this over in the y-axis. Let's actually go into shaded mode. And let's grab the light now. And go ahead and take this over now in the x-axis like this. Maybe take it over in the y and bring it down in the z until it's kind of in the room like this. Let's actually go into wireframe, it might be easier. And let's press 1 so we see this in the orthographic view. And let's go ahead and take this over in the x-axis until it's directly over the kitchen island, which is something like that. Now I'll press 3 and I'll make sure that now it's lined up with the island in the other direction. Kind of hard to say, I must admit, but we'll just kind of guess it a little bit. It's something like that, I think. Let's see where we're at with that. Maybe take it over a little bit the other way. And now let's go back over to the rendered mode. Okay, so that's looking good. Now we've got our lights in situ. Let's bring this down slightly in the Z. Until those sort of bolts are hanging out of the ceiling like this. And there we go, that's absolutely perfect. Okay, so I wonder actually if we just go ahead and scale this down. Let's hit S and go ahead and scale this item down a little bit. And now we maybe bring it down a little bit on the Z again. Till we get that kind of effect. And maybe just bring this over slightly and see how we look. And I might just try scaling this down the Z a little bit more. S and Z. Bring this up like this. And maybe bring it down a little bit now. And there we go. That's much better. That's much more the effect I'm after. Okay, so what do we want to do now? I think the next thing we need to do is go ahead and put some lights in these shades. I think that's the next thing we need to do. So I'm just going to grab these shades, this one, and this one. And with those three items selected, I'll go ahead and isolate those. And let's work in just shaded for a moment. There we go. And what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and just grab this item like this, and I'll press Shift S and cursor to the selected. There we go. Now that I've done that, I'll go ahead and press Shift A. Or before we do that, let's have a look at where we are. So let's look at ground floor lighting. Let's actually collapse this file. And interior, let's open ground floor lighting. Let's select this item here. And let's actually grab this again now and press Shift A. And let's bring in a light. And let's bring in a point light. Let's bring that item down like this until we're something like that. And now let's go back over to rendered mode for a moment and see how we're looking. And that's starting to do some good. I can see a little bit of light in that. Let's scale it up a little bit like this. Bring it down a little bit. And maybe let's actually just see what we can do with this light. Let's increase the power to around 50. And let's increase the warmth, just bring this into the red a little bit. And now let's go ahead and bring everything back and see how we're looking. And that's actually looking really good. I'm liking that now. So let's go ahead and make a copy of that and just shift that over to the others. So with that light selected, I'm just going to grab these three shades and I'll hit the / key to isolate. I'll press 7 and I'll press deselect everything else and just select the light on its own. Press 7 again and I'll press Alt D and Y and bring a copy over like this. And I'll press Alt D again and Y and bring a copy across now to the middle of this one like this. So center as best as I can. And let's see what we've got. And yeah, that's looking good for all three now. I'm happy with that. Let's bring everything back again now and see how we're looking. And that's really done nice things for the island now. So what we could do is we could go ahead and hide our extras for a moment just so we can see our scene. And those lights really are illuminating that kitchen. That's looking really nice. Okay, so in the next lecture, what I want to do is start bringing some trees into our scene and around the outside of our house to add to the reality of everything. Alright, so I'll see you in the next lecture. Thanks very much. Bye bye for now. Hello and welcome now to lecture 76, and in this lecture let's add some trees to our scene, which is again something that's going to add a nice level of reality to everything. It's really going to make it look even more convincing. But it comes with a warning. Trees are big files, they're quite big imports, so it's something we do need to watch. So I wouldn't import too many different types of trees, and I would look quite closely at the file size before you import them. Because yeah, it can really clog your scene up and make your scene a lot larger, make your files a lot larger, and it can use a lot of VRAM then to actually do it. So I'm going to try and stay in full rendered mode, but you may find that you want to come out of this and just end up in the solid display. It's up to you, but I'll try and, just for the benefit of everybody, stay in rendered mode and see if my computer can handle it. I will make sure that here in the render properties tab that my viewport samples are quite low. So I've got it set up at 15, and I kind of encourage you to do the same, so that every time you move, your PC is not rendering constantly trying to keep up. I could even reduce this maybe to 10, and there we go. So you can see now at the top the computer's only rendering for a second as I move. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to do is bring the cursor out into Fresh Air. So I'll press 7 to see this from above, and I'll hit the cursor tab and I'll bring the cursor forward to about here like this. I'll now make sure that I'm back on the Move tab, and I'll right click. Whoops, let's try that again. And I'll right click and I'll set the origin to the 3D cursor. There we go. Okay, so let's search for some trees. So I'll come up here to the Blender kit and I'll hit trees, or type trees, and click enter and see what we get, and make sure of course that we've got free on first. And let's see what we're looking at. So let's just click on the first tree, or right click on the first tree, and you can see straight away file size 269 megabytes, so it's quite large. So I'll click away from that and just see, so there's an olive tree there. That's quite, this feels like it's somewhere warm Mediterranean, so an olive tree might be a nice idea. Let's right click, and that's 156, which is probably where we're going to be with trees, somewhere around there. And let's see what we can find. Shopping for trees. Let's see. Let's click again and see what we get. Pine tree. Let's have a look at this. So 158 megabytes. That's a good size. But let's see. We have trees here, ahorn tree, pine tree. Some of these trees are quite low poly, which is not really what I want. We got another realistic pine tree there. And let's see what we've got. So we got an apple tree there. A nice willow tree, that's really pretty. Let's right click on that, and that's only 74 megabytes. We may bring some of those in. We'll come back to that. There's a palm tree. There's a jacaranda tree. Let's see what the size of that is. Oh wow, that's 1,300 megabytes. That's really big. So I don't think I'll be bringing that in, even though it's really nice. There's a tall evergreen. And it's worth taking a few minutes to hunt down the right tree for your scene at this time. What about this one? Fruit tree. Prunus siciliana plum. Maybe this one would be the right one for us. Maybe we bring this one in. Let's just see what the size of it is. 162 megabytes. I think that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and left click on this and bring it in and see what it looks like. I'll zoom in on this and just take a look at our tree. And yeah, that's looking, that's actually amazing. I can't believe the quality of that for a free item in Blender Kit. So the file size is, you can see that the file size is justified for the amount of polys on this. So from a distance, that's going to look really good. So we must make sure now that when we distribute this tree, we don't press Shift D, we press Alt D, so that we can duplicate the properties to each item so we don't have as much information. So what I'll do is I'll press 7 and I'll grab our tree and I'll go ahead and bring this over and I'll just place it on this corner like this. And I'll bring it down some on the Z. And I'll press 7 again. And maybe just bring it in closer like this. Maybe just overhanging the wall even. Just slightly like this. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe bring it down a little bit more. Maybe bring it over in the X again. And there we go. Let's see what that looks like. And that's quite nice. I quite like that. Maybe I'll just take it back a little bit. And maybe I'll scale this one up. And there we go. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's looking awesome. I'm liking that. You can see the immediate difference that makes to our scene just by putting a tree there. So I'm going to duplicate this tree using the Alt button and distribute it around our scene, and as I do it I'll rotate and scale each one a bit. So I'll press 7 and I'll grab the tree, and actually the next thing we do, we want to make sure that these trees are in the right place. Let's open this file and let's find our tree, and it's here in ground floor lighting right now, so that doesn't help us much. So what we'll do is we'll go to outside here and we'll create a new file, and we'll find it. It's right here, and we'll call this trees. And what we'll do on this now is we'll just select this one, we'll create a sub file again, and we'll call this one the fruit tree. And enter, and we'll make sure this one's selected, and we'll take this fruit tree here and we'll drag it up into the fruit tree right here like this. We'll grab this one now and we'll press Alt D and Y and bring a copy up like this. I'll take this one back a little bit and I'll rotate it. Maybe bring it in a little bit more like this, and let's see what that looks like. Maybe take it up a little bit. And there we go, that's cool. Yep, that's nice, I like that. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's try that again. I'll press 7 to see this from above. And I'll grab this one again, and I'll press Alt D and Y and take this one up. And I'll take this one over a little bit, and I'll try scaling this one up a little bit more. Rotating it. And let's see what that looks like. Maybe we try taking it down a little bit. And there we go, that's cool. So that's really broken up the line of the horizon. Now you can see the sort of benefit to making things look much more convincing with some vegetation. So let's put some of these behind the house now. So I'll press 7. And I'll grab this again, and I'll press Alt D. And I'll press Y. And I'll bring one around the back like this. And I'll bring it round the corner like this, and I'll rotate it. And we'll see what that looks like. I might want to take that one either up or down. Let's have a look. Maybe I'll take this over in the X-axis. And I'll take it up a little bit, and there we go. And for some reason I've got a duplicate of my island lamp here, so I'll go ahead and delete that. I don't know why that's there, to be honest. And we'll delete that, and there we go. So let's press 7, and let's grab this again, and we'll press Alt D and X, and go ahead and bring a copy around like this now. And we'll rotate this again. Maybe we'll scale it down a little bit. Maybe what we could do this time is just try tilting it. So I'll press R and Y and try tilting this tree over a little bit, just so that we have lots of duplicates saving our file sizes, but we're just trying to make them all look a little bit different. And I think that works a treat, actually. That's looking really good. And we've just about hidden that cannon behind the house as well with that, so that's going to be good. Let's press 7 again. And I think I'm going to duplicate this tree again, so I'll press Alt D and Y and take another copy back like this, and just put it directly here. Maybe rotate it around like this, maybe bring it back in, and see if that's helped with cannon again some more, just hiding that cannon. And yeah, I think that's done the trick now for hiding that cannon, so that's nice. Okay, so I think I'll do one more of these fruit trees. So I'll grab this tree and I'll press Alt D and X and bring a copy around like this, maybe just round to here like this, and there we go. That's cool. So now we've got our first set of trees nicely distributed around our house, and they're looking really nice. That's really added to the feeling of everything, so that's cool. Okay, so I think we'll bring in another tree now, so I'll press 7. And let's find our tree file again, so I'll select this. And let's compress our fruit tree file. And now let's go ahead and find another tree. So let's see what we can find. So we have fruit tree prune, that's the one we've just brought in. And what else have we got? So we got this Douglas fir. Christmas trees. What's this one? Chestnut tree. Big tree. That might be cool. That might be alright. What else have we got? And we've got this one, the tree Fagus grandifolium. Let's have a look at this. And again, 141 megabytes is a nice size. I think I'm going to go ahead with that one. So I'll left click on this one and bring it into the scene. Let's just zoom in on this tree and see what it looks like, see if it suits what we need. And again, that's looking really good. I like that tree. So I'll press 7 to see this from above. I'll grab the tree, and maybe at this one, I'll bring over to this corner like this. I'll rotate it, bring it over, and let's have a look at the height now. And of course it's way too high, especially since this house is kind of on a hill, so we need to sort of think about that all the time, that trees are not going to be sort of the base of the tree is not going to be level with the house being on a hill. But that's looking really nice. I'm liking that. I'll press 7 again now, and I'll grab this tree, and I'll press Alt D and X and bring another one over like this. I'll rotate this around, take this back on the y-axis like this, and there we go. That's good. Let's see what that's like height-wise. Is it too high? Is it good? It looks alright actually from there. I think that's good. So I think the next thing I'll do is I'll put one of those again, maybe in the distance on this side. So I'll press Alt D and X, bring this over like this, and maybe bring it down slightly in the Y. That's it. We'll just bring that down like that, and that's cool. Let's press 7. And let's grab this again, and we'll make another duplicate, Alt D and X, and bring this over like this. Let's rotate this one as well, and let's try scaling this one up. And I think actually I'm going to put one of these as well, just on this back corner. So I'll press Alt D and Y and bring this one over as well like this. Bring this back and rotate it, and see how that's going to look. Okay, so let's zoom in on our house now and see what we got. And that's looking really good now. That's actually really doing nice things. So I could actually just duplicate maybe this tree again, and there's one there, or maybe this one here. So I'll press Alt D and Y and bring a copy across like this, just again to just break up that horizon and see how that looks, and that looks good. Okay, let's have a look from this side, and that's looking good. And maybe we'll just duplicate that tall tree again one more time. I'll press 7. And I'll put a copy just on this side. So press Alt D and X and bring a copy across this other side like this. Maybe overhang the house a little bit like this, rotate it round, and we'll see what that looks like. And I'd say that's looking really good. There's a little bit of vegetation coming in, which is not something I want. So I'll take maybe the height of this tree up a little bit. Maybe try rotating it on the Z. Maybe take it up a little bit more. And let's see what that looks like. And that's looking good. I'm liking that now. Just with the vegetation kind of overhanging the house a little bit, that works. Maybe we'll bring this one up a little bit as well. And there we go. And maybe this one actually wants to go down a little bit. So we'll take that down as well. And there we go. That's looking good. So I don't think... Maybe I'll bring in one more tree. Let's see what we can find. So we've got this chestnut tree. Let's see if we can find a third tree here somewhere that we like. A basic tree there. Trees. Who's got a tree that we like? A jacaranda. We looked at that. It was huge file sizes. What's this island tree? Let's right click on this. And again, that's way too big. Got this mid-poly tree here, 13 megabytes. That'd be nice for sort of farther away. Maybe we do that. Maybe that's a nice idea. Let's click on this one and bring this one to the scene like this. Let's have a look at this tree. And it is, as we can see, it's much lower poly, but it's still actually very good. So let's see if we can distribute this tree a little bit as well. So I'll press 7. And let's find where this tree is. And where have we got it? Let's have a look. Looks like I brought this tree accidentally in at the first floor. So let's actually just grab this tree and let's bring this up. And put this into the trees file here. And there we go. So let's grab this tree and let's take this way over into the distance. And let's have a look at where that is. And maybe let's take this down like this. And let's scale it up. Take it down a little bit more. And now let's go ahead and put another tree in. So let's press 7. And let's Alt D. And let's press X. And bring this same tree now over here like this. Maybe take it here. And let's do the same again. Alt D. And Y. And bring one up like this. And Alt D. And X. Bring a tree back here, maybe like this, and one more maybe. Alt D and X, and bring a tree further back like this. Let's rotate this one, and let's scale this one up some more, and let's see about the heights of our trees. So we can actually take this one up a little bit like this. And we could actually find the tree that we have behind the house, which is here. And we could take this one up as well. And we could maybe take this up the hill a little bit and take it up some more. And maybe that's a little too high. We'll bring that down. Let's have a look at that through the house, see what that looks like, and maybe bring that down some more. And there we go, that's cool. And I think, is there anything else? Let's have a look at these trees here. So we have this one here. Let's take that further down the hill and take this over. And let's also just see if we got any other trees that we've put in this scene. We've got this one here. So maybe bring this one down as well. And we'll bring it forward and see what that looks like. Maybe grab this tree here, not that one. This one here, and we'll bring that one forward as well a little bit. And maybe we'll scale this one up a bit. And we'll see what we've got. Okay, I think that's looking good. I don't think... Maybe I want to take this tree, make a copy of this one. So I'll press Alt-D and Y and bring this one forward as well. Maybe bring this one down now and rotate this on the Z. Just to put a little bit more in the foreground there. And I think that's more than enough trees in the scene. So we'll compress the trees file here. And I think I just want to get a feel for what that looks like. So what I'm going to do is just hover over our scene. I'm going to press Shift B. And maybe just find an area to zoom in. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift and the tilde key to go into our fly walk mode. And now I'm going to hit the Tab key to apply gravity. And let's see what all these trees look like now in our scene. Let's see if that's improved things. I'm just going to press W and kind of walk forward. And from this angle, I'd say that's really added to the realism. I'm really pleased with that, and the trees are really convincing. I might bring some of these trees a little bit closer. The fruit trees are fine, but that tall tree, maybe I can bring one of those a bit closer into the scene. Let's have a look at this tree at the back. See what this looks like. And that tree's kind of just in the wall a little bit, but I think that's okay because I don't think I'm ever going to have a camera view of that just there, so I may leave that just like that. And those trees there are looking great. I'm liking those. They're really adding to the scene. I may just in my own time just put a few trees in the front, but not too many. And let's have a look from this angle what these look like. And yeah, they look really good. I'm pleased with those. They just add to the realism of that quite nicely. So we could go upstairs and see what the trees look like from the first floor view. And see if we can find a way in. There we go, we're through. Okay, let's have a look from the bedroom, see what the view's like. And that's looking really good. That tree's just framing the corner of that view really nicely and making it look really convincing. And from this angle too, I mean, we've kind of blocked the view of the town. Well, no, we haven't. I think that's okay, actually. I think that's absolutely perfect. That just frames the view in a little bit with those trees, just adding to the vegetation, makes it all really a lot more convincing. I think I'm really pleased with that. Let's just try from this other bedroom, see if the views work from here. I think they do. We just blocked out the corner of the town, which I think is a nice effect. I think I'm really happy with that, actually. So I'll hit the escape key to come out of the walk fly mode. And I think that's it for this lecture. So we have added quite a lot of size to our file. These trees are very heavy in file size, so this is something you really will need to play with to decide how much you can do, but you can always delete these trees if it starts to bog your files down. Okay, so in the next lecture let's move upstairs and let's put some beds and some furniture in position. Alright, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now. Hello and welcome now to lecture 77, and in this lecture let's go ahead and import some of the things we need in the bedrooms. Let's import things like beds and wardrobes, and I think some sort of rug for under the bed as well. I think that'll be a good thing to do in this lecture, and also keep moving things along. Okay, so where to start with this? I think first things first, let's go ahead to the first floor, open this up. And let's hide the roof, and let's hide the middle roof. And also in bedroom 1, let's go ahead and hide the headboard. And there we go. That's sort of just given us a nice view coming down. I think actually after all our work on our last lecture, for now, let's go ahead and hide the trees as well. So let's open up the ground floor and let's find the trees. There they are. Let's hide those as well. There we go. I'll compress the ground floor file, we don't need that. And yeah, we're going to work on bedroom 1, so we need this one open. Okay, now that I've done that, I'll actually click on bedroom 1 here. I'll actually compress these bifolding door files. And I'll click on bedroom 1 and I'll create a new folder. and it's here, and I'll left click on it, and I'll call this, well, just call it let's call it the wardrobe. Let's start there. And depending on what part of the world you are, you can call it what you want. Closet, wardrobe, cabinet, it's up to you. But I'll call it the wardrobe. There we go. Now that you've done that, make sure, of course, that it's actually highlighted. And now let's go ahead and find our wardrobe. Make sure, again, in the Blender kit that your max resolution is low. And let's go up here now and click on this. And let's type in wardrobe and see what we find. Make sure as well that on the filters you've got free first. And let's see what we've got. And to be honest, I've already got in mind the one I'm looking for. So I need to find it. Again, you can go through these and find anything that appeals to you. Or if you want, you've got the modeling skills now to create your own wardrobe. It's completely up to you. And this is the one I'm thinking, this My Closet by Prada. I'll right click on it and look at the file size, and it's just 20 megabytes and it's a 2K resolution image. So I think with that in mind, what I'm actually going to do is just increase the max resolution to maybe 2048 by 2048. And now I will go ahead and download this one. So I'll left click on it and there we go. Okay, so let's have a look at this now and see what it looks like. And yeah, I mean, that's a nice looking piece of furniture. I think I'm more than pleased with that. I'm not overly keen with just the matte grey doors. I get the effect, but I don't know if it's what I want. I think I would prefer some of these to be mirrors and some of these to just be walnut. So maybe we'll deal with that. So what I think I'll do is I'll just snap on this surface here and find out what it is, and it's walnut. So what I want to do is actually apply the walnut to these surfaces. So I'll grab this one, I'll hold shift, grab this one, and this one. And I'm going to show you a new trick for applying textures. So now that I've grabbed those four like that, I'm going to hold shift and grab the walnut itself last. So that's a different color, saying it's the last one selected. Now that I've done that, I will press Ctrl L and I will link materials. And there we go. So instantly we've applied the walnut paneling to those doors. Super quick, super easy. So I think I'll also do the same thing with this one here. I'll hold shift, select this one, and I'll select this one, this one, this one, and this one, and then finally the walnut itself. Once I've done that, I'll press Ctrl L and I'll go ahead and link materials, and there we go. That's fine. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm happy with that. If you wanted to, you could apply a UV map to this and then sort of shake the orientation around, just mix it up a little bit, or maybe scale up or scale down the walnut. But I think the scale of the walnut, I think I'm happy enough with that. Okay, so I just want to apply a mirror now to this one. So I'll select this surface here and I'll hit this little drop down here and I'll search for mirror. And there it is, mirror 01, and select that. Now that I've selected that, I'll select this one, hold shift, grab this one, finally the mirror, and then I'll press Ctrl L and I'll go ahead and link materials, and there we go. That's cool. Let's make sure it is where it's supposed to be, and it is. It's in the wardrobe file on Bedroom 1, My Closet by Prada, and everything belonging to it. So that's cool. We don't have any empties for it now, and I think that's because we don't have any empties turned on in the overall image. So come up here now, click on this one, and let's turn on extras in the objects. And you can see this piece has actually got a lot of empties because it's actually a rigged piece of furniture, which means if you wanted to, you could actually maybe just click on this empty here and you could rotate that on the Z, so press RZ, and you could go ahead and open the doors on the piece. It's a really nice feature. So it looks like everything is rigged in it. But the only one we really need to worry about is this large rig right here in the middle. So what I'll do is I'll just grab that. I'll press 7 on the numpad to give us the orthographic view. And actually I think I'll just go into shaded mode for now. And now I'll bring that into the scene like this. I'll press 1 to get a front view on this. And now I'll go ahead and bring this up like this. and bring it over like this. And now I'll press 7. And let's have a look where we're at with this. And I want to go ahead and rotate this. So I'll press R, 9, 0, enter. And now I'll go ahead and take that back like this. Take that back to the wall. And I think I'm going to scoot this back a little bit to, I think, around there is where I'd want it. Let's have a look at the height of this now and see where we're at with that. See if we want to take this up or down. I think I want to take it up a little bit. And I'd say that's about right. Just about there is the correct height for this. Alright, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and turn rendered view back on again, and let's have a look at this and see what it looks like. And we could bring back the headboard for a moment and see what that does to the overall scene, and we could also bring back the roof in the file as well. There we go, middle roof and roof, and see how we're looking. And yep, I'm liking that. That's looking really nice. It's just added to the warmth of the room, and with the lighting, that's really cool. I'm liking that, and I'm pleased that I put a mirror in this because it just adds something to the room. Okay, so I'll go ahead and turn off now the headboard again, or I'll hide the headboard. And I'll go ahead and hide the roof and the middle roof again for a while so we can see what we're doing. And I'll press 7. So I'll select the first one of the folders here in the closet. So My Closet by Parada. And I'll right click and I'll go ahead and select objects. That selects all the objects in one go. Now that I've done that, I'm going to make a duplicate and put it on this side. So I'm going to press Alt D and X and bring that over now to the opposite side like this. Now that I've done that, I'll go ahead and rotate that. So I'll press R, 9, 0, and that's actually rotated it the wrong way. So I'm going to hit the minus key and then I'll swing it around just fine for me. Now I'll take it back in the Y-axis. And I'll go ahead and take that over in the X like this. There we go, and then maybe take this back a little bit more. And there we go. Let's have a look at the height and see if that's correct in the room. And it looks like, am I happy with that? Is that correct? Actually it is, that's just fine now. So again, I think that looks just fine in the room. I could bring the roof back again and just see what that does for everything. And yeah, that's looking great. We may end up having to put some extra light in this room. I think we probably will. And I may end up just creating a plane and putting it in here and then putting a mirror on this, because to me this is like a dressing table, so it needs to have a mirror backing in this area, so I can do that. And of course we'll place a chair in front of it, some books or something on the shelves, sort of whatever you want to do. Okay, so that's our wardrobes in place now, so that's cool. So what we could actually do now is have a look at bringing something else in. So I think the next thing I want to bring in is something for the floor, to go under the bed, a bit of a feature rug. So what I'll do is I'll type rug in here now, and click enter, and let's see what we get. That's really nice there, but I don't think circular is going to do it. And we've got these kind of rugs. I'm looking for something quite traditional. I think it'll be a nice contrast with everything else being quite clean and crisp and modern. So this one's kind of it, but it's just, for me, it's not quite colourful enough. So I'll see if I can find something with some reds in there, some warmth to it. And this is more like it, but maybe there's a different colour. So there's a blue one. Another blue one there. And is there any others? And we've got one here, which is quite nice. And we've got this one. We've got this one here. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I'll right click on this and see what it is. And it's 1K resolution and just 1 megabyte. I'm wondering if there's anything with a bit more resolution to it. what's this one here? So that's 2K and 13 megabytes. That's probably more like it. And because it's so small, I'm going to have the resolution quite high on the import on this. So what we'll do now is let's actually take the resolution up to a 4096 by 4096. Again, this is completely up to you, but I think that's where I'll have it for me. And I'll go ahead and click on this item and go ahead and bring it into the scene like this. So I forgot to actually create a file for that. So actually let's create a file for that and put that in the right place. But let's have a quick look at the rug itself and see if we're happy with it. And I think I'm more than happy with that. That looks absolutely great. So let's find it now. It's here, plane 03. So let's go ahead and name this as the rug. And click enter. And let's click on bedroom 1 file here. And let's put an extra file in it. And let's go ahead and call this the rug. And click enter. And let's go ahead and drop this file here, the Persian carpet file, into the rug. There we go, that's cool. So we can compress that file now, compress the closet file, and there we go. Okay, so let's do something with this now. So let's grab this one, and maybe we go back to shaded mode. And let's go ahead and let's hide the roof again so we can see what we're doing. And let's press 7 so we can see this from above. And let's go ahead and take this in. And I think I'm going to rotate that, so I'll press R, 90, enter. And I'll take this back to the wall like this. Maybe centralize it a bit more in the room. And I'll hit S and I'll scale this up a little bit so it can kind of, well, it wants to be to the edge of the headboard, so I guess sooner or later we'll need to bring the headboard in and scale this properly. So I'll press 1 now to see this from the front, and of course we can't see, well, we can see that just fine. So I'll go ahead and bring that up now into the room like this. Now we can actually see this, we can position it properly, and that should be good. Okay, so let's bring back the headboard now so that we can see it scaled against the headboard. Maybe we need to go back to rendered view so that we can look at the pattern when we scale this up, and that looks awesome. I absolutely love that. That's looking amazing. But I guess we do need to sort of scale this up a little bit. So do I want to scale the whole thing up or just scale it in the X? I think I'll just scale it just in the X and see how that looks. So I'll press S and X and go ahead and bring this out until it's kind of flush with the headboard. And have a look at it from this angle, make sure it's on the floor, and it looks pretty good to me. But I love that rug, that's looking amazing. Like I said, it never fails to surprise me how good these assets are from BlenderKit, especially considering they're free. So please do remember to leave a rating on these objects. It's, these people really deserve it who make this stuff and put these assets out there for free. Okay, so that's in place. So I want to also use that same rug for the other bedroom. So I'll press 7 to see this orthographically. And I'll go ahead and press Alt-D and X and bring this over now to the opposite side like this. Let's rotate it. So R, 90, enter. And let's go ahead and bring this over like this. And bring this into position like this. And see what we're looking like. And scale wise, whether I end up scaling that down, I'm not sure. For now, I'll go ahead and leave that just like that. Or maybe I'll scale it down a tiny bit to there, something like that. And let's go ahead and take that back now to the wall again like this. And maybe we take it down a tiny bit. And there we go, that's cool. Okay, so we've got our flooring sorted out, and we've got our wardrobe sorted out, so that's cool. So I guess the next thing to do is look for a bed. So let's do this. Let's type in bed. And let's see what we've got. And I must admit, I've spotted this one before, and I love it. This Sahara bed is absolutely amazing. So I'll right click on this and have a look at it. It's a 2K resolution, and its size is 107 megabytes. So I think that's absolutely spot on. I think I'm going to go ahead and use that. Before I use that, I'll click on bedroom 1, and I'll create another file, and I'll name this as the bed. And click enter, and make sure that bed is actually highlighted. So now that I've done that, I'll go ahead and click on the item and bring it in like this. So I did actually forget to reduce the file size right here. So if you wanted to, of course, maybe it's an idea to reduce that file size. I think I'll leave it and see if I can get away with it, but I may end up deleting this item, re-importing it in as a smaller file size. I can kind of justify it being that, to me, it's a major piece of furniture in the house. It's a real centerpiece, so maybe it's worth having it as a high resolution, and it is absolutely amazing. The detail is absolutely fantastic on it. Yeah, that looks absolutely great. Yeah, amazing. Really, really nice work. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring that in. We'll grab the empty in this case, and let's go over to just shaded mode, and let's press 7. And let's go ahead and bring this in and drop it in position. So I'll take it over like this. Take it over like this. I'll press 1 so we can see this from the front. And I'll go ahead and take this up like this. Let's have a look at this bed in situ and see what we need to do. And maybe I need to take this forward or back. Right there is correct, but it's not on the floor, so let's take this down. And that's about on the floor. And let's centralize this. And we'll have like a bedside cabinet either side of this. So that's looking good. And again, if you guys want to create a couple of pieces of these furniture, again, now you have some of the skills you need to be able to do this. I mean, this bed is very advanced, but the cabinets and bedside tables, there's nothing stopping you at all doing that now. You know how to apply textures now, and you know how to model. So let's actually go back to rendered mode for a moment and see what this looks like. And yeah, absolutely great. Does it look a little small in the room? Shall I scale it up? I think I will. I'll go ahead and hit S and just go ahead and scale this up a little bit. And now I'm going to hit S, but then I'm going to press Shift Z, so I don't scale it up anymore on the Z axis. So I'll press S, Shift Z, and now just scale it up in the X and the Y. And there we go, that's cool. I'll bring it forward a little bit because it's currently kind of in the wall. And there we go, that's absolutely awesome. We've still got a space either side for bedroom cabinets, the little bedside cabinets, and maybe a reading lamp. And that looks about proportionate now to the wardrobe. It looks absolutely amazing. That's a really nice bed. Okay, what I'm going to do, since now we're starting to bring in a lot more assets, I'm using personally the whole rendered view quite a lot, is I'm going to do a lot more saves, because it's at this stage that Blend is prone to crashing. So I'm going to go ahead and just press Ctrl S and do a save, and I encourage you to save a bit more now than you currently were. And let's go ahead and bring in the final bed. So let's compress the bedroom 1 file, and let's open up the bedroom 2 file. Click on it and add an extra file. Find it, it's right there. And let's call this the bed. And there we go, and enter. So that's selected now. Let's go ahead and bring another bed in. So I'm thinking this one is the one that I'm wanting for this one. I did have a look before. You can go ahead and scroll through and see what you like. This one is also quite nice, but I think I'm going to go for this one here. So I'll click on this one and go ahead and bring it in. Again, I brought it in at quite a high resolution because the beds are quite a major piece in the rooms, but if you wanted to, of course, you can reduce the resolution before you import this. I mean, this bed's a lot more about soft upholstery than the other one, but I think it's nice. I like the texture on the duvet. That looks really good. I'll keep an eye on my VRAM, make sure that it's not going too high. It's currently about 9.2. Okay, so I'll grab the item now. Make sure that it's where I want it to be, and it is bedroom 1. It's bed in bedroom 2 file, so I'll compress that now. And I'll press 7. And I'll go ahead and bring it into the room. So I'll grab it here. And take it over. And I'll press 1. And I'll go ahead and take this up like this. Bring it down a little bit. There we go. I'll press 7 now to see it from above. And I'll go and rotate that 90 degrees. So R90 and click enter. And actually it's the wrong way around, so I'll do that again. So I'll press R180 and click enter. Okay, I'll take this back to the wall like this. And I think I'll go into shaded mode now and go ahead and have a look at this properly. And maybe take this over like this. So center this a bit more. And there we go, that's looking good. So I think we'll probably need to scale up this headboard a little bit more. It's not quite working out. I mean, I could reduce the width on this. I could do that. But I don't think... Oh, let's try. Let's try S and Y. And just try reducing the width on this. And see if it looks a little bit ridiculous. Actually, it looks alright. I think that's alright. I think that width is just fine. So I'll take this back now. And put it in position between the headboards. May have to sort of juggle this around a little bit. I'll scale this up a little bit more. SY. And maybe take this over like this. And that's okay now. And go ahead and take this back so it just slots nicely between these posts. And there we go, that's cool. And I think the bed looks just fine, reduced in width a little bit. We've not really compromised anything. So maybe you want to just take it down a little bit now. Until it's on the floor like this. And let's go ahead and enter rendered mode for a moment and see what we look like. And that's looking great. I think in the next lecture what we could do is actually just create a panel above the bed here with the same leathered panel that we're seeing just on these side little cheeks. We'll do the same panel there. I think that'll look quite nice. Okay, but that's the sort of the major items added to the bedrooms. We could bring this rug just back a little bit. I'm seeing a bit of a gap. So I'll press G and X. Take this back a little bit. And there we go, that's cool. Okay, how good is this looking? Let's bring everything back. Let's bring the roofs back. And we can see what our lighting effect is looking like. And that's looking great. I think this actually works. I was wondering whether I wanted to put more light in this room, but I don't think I do. I think this mirror is helping a lot. And now that we have some warmer components in the room, some warmer textures, the grey bed is looking really nice with the grey floor, and then this rug and then these leather panels is really making that pop. I'm liking this a lot. Okay, so that's the end of this lecture. In the next lecture, let's bring in a few more little items. We'll make this little panel here. And then let's bring in maybe some stuff for the bathroom, a toilet and a sink and a bath. And let's bring in a TV and backlight it. I think that's enough for the next lecture. Actually, this one stretched on quite far. But I think we're getting a lot done at the moment, so hopefully you don't mind. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now. Okay, hello and welcome now to lecture 78. And in this lecture, let's go ahead and tackle the bathroom. See if we can put some fittings in that, a bath and a toilet and all that kind of stuff. But before I do that, there's just a few little tweaks I want to do to the bedroom. So let's just do those first. I think first of all though, let's go ahead and hide the ground floor completely. Let's just get rid of that just to reduce things for Blender and our computers. And I think as well, we could maybe open up the first floor file here and compress the ground floor collection. And we can turn off the middle roof, and we can turn off the roof. And actually, we could turn off the walls. Let's actually turn off the first floor walls as well. So we just have this set up like this. There we go. Actually, within the bedrooms maybe as well, we could hide the windows. And we could hide the bifolding doors. And the same in bedroom 1, we could hide the window, and we can hide the bifolding door in that one as well. Let's have everything down to a sort of a minimum. So the two things I want to do before we move on is I want to create a panel which goes here in this space, which will also have this nice quilted leather effect on it. And I want to put a mirror just here as well. I think that'll be worthwhile doing. So let's start first of all with this panel here. And I'm just going to press Shift B just to recenter Blender in this area. There we go. And I'll just grab this panel, hold Shift and grab this one. And with the two selected, I'll press Shift S and I'll say cursor to the selected, and there we go. Now that we've done that, let's press Shift A. And let's go ahead and bring in a cube. Okay, let's scale this down in the X, so I'll press S and X and go ahead and bring this down like this. And now I'll go ahead and take this up in the Z axis. And I'll scale this down some in the Z as well. To maybe something like that. Take that up again. And maybe go ahead and just take this back a little bit. And see what we've got. There we go. That's cool. Maybe bring it forward just a tiny bit. No, I think I was right in actually just keeping it back. Sorry, I'll just take that back a little bit. Just scoot it back. Just a tiny bit. There we go. That's cool. So now that I've done that, I'll tap into edit mode. And I'll go ahead and just delete the back face. So I'll press X. And delete faces. There we go. So we just have a very simple open component now. And then I'll tap back out of edit mode and let's look at the item. Let's fix the scale. So we'll press Control A and apply rotation and scale. Now that we've done that, let's actually just select the roof, this panel as well. And with the two panels selected, let's press Control L and let's go ahead and link materials. And there we go. So obviously this is far too big. So let's go ahead and just tap into edit mode just with this panel now. Let's press A and let's press U and let's do a smart UV project. Make sure you have an island margin and go ahead and unwrap. And let's reduce the size and kind of set the scale up for us. But it's all, again, it's just way too big. So I'll press A to grab all and I'll grab the components here in the island in the UV map. And I'll go ahead and scale those to reduce the size of the leather texture there until it's kind of similar to the scale of the pattern on the two side pieces. So I'd say that's about right, something like that. And there we go, that's done. That's not too bad at all. I might just actually just check the normals on that. So I'll hit this little one here and check face orientation, and the face orientation is correct. So there we go, that's done. I'll tap out of edit mode with that, and there we go. So now that we've done that, I just want to go ahead and put a mirror just here now. So I'll select this one, hold shift, select this one, and I'll press shift S, and I'll say cursor to the selected. Now that I've done that, I'll press shift A, and I'll go ahead and bring in a plane. I'll rotate that plane in the x-axis, so I'll press RX, 90, enter, and then I'll go ahead and pull that forward in the y-axis like this. I'll go ahead and scale this down in the Z, so I'll press S and Z, and go ahead and bring this down to something like this, and now bring it down as well. And maybe just take it back a little bit in the Y, until it's just about showing. There we go. Now that we've done that, I'll also just select this mirrored panel here too, so that this mirror has got a yellow outline and then this one has an orange outline. And once I've done that, I'll press Ctrl L and I'll go ahead and link materials, and there we go. So I think that does look better with a mirror just showing in there like that. So with that done, we can actually just go ahead and do the same now in the other bedroom. So I'll grab this one, hold shift, grab this one, and I'll press shift S and cursor to the selected, and then I'll press shift A and I'll bring in a plane. I'll rotate that in the y-axis, RY, 90, enter, bring that forward in the X, scale it down in the Z, and now bring it into position like this. I'll take it back a little bit until it just shows itself. There we go. And I'll select the mirror as well. I'll press Ctrl L and I'll link materials. And there we go, that's that mirror in place as well. Okay, so those are the little jobs that I wanted to do. So now we can actually look at the bathroom. That's the next thing that I want to tackle. So let's compress the bedroom 1 file and bedroom 2 file. And let's click on the bathroom like this and just select this folder. Okay, let's press 7. And let's go ahead and get the cursor where we want it. So come over to the tab and hit the cursor key and then just drop the cursor right there like that, and then go ahead and right click and set the origin to the 3D cursor. There we go. Click on the move tool again and let's start finding components now for our bathroom. So I think the first thing we could actually type in is bath. Let's bring that in and type enter and see what we get, and let's use the filter to make sure that we getting the free items first and see what we're showing. So we've got a nice bath there, and one there, and one here with a few little things on it as well, so that's quite nice. And see what else we've got. We've got a nice vanity there as well, but I'm getting ahead of myself really. Let's look at the bath first. This one's quite nice. Yeah, that's quite nice because it's got a towel on it as well, and it's got a few things on it. I'll right click on this and see what it's like. So we got a nice sort of taps there as well, and we've got towel, and we've got some like little products and everything there as well. It's a 4K image and it's 51 megabytes, so that's pretty good. That's fine. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll go back to the Blender Kit tab and make sure that we are importing on a small size, because this is mostly hard surfaces now, so there's not much detail in hard surfaces, so we can afford to keep the resolution quite low. And with that done, I'll actually find the item again, and I'll go ahead and left click on it to bring it in. And there we go, that's our bath in place. So let's go ahead and make sure that the extras are turned on so we can see what we can see. and I'm not actually seeing any kind of empty for this, and all these items are separate, so it's kind of going to be hard to move that. It might get a bit time consuming, so I think let's bring in an empty for this. So let's press Shift A and let's go down to empty and let's just put in an arrow. Let's go ahead and scale the arrow down a little bit like this. Now let's select absolutely everything to do with the bath. Make sure the arrow is in yellow. If it isn't, you can always just deselect the arrow and just hold Shift and reselect it. And once you've done that, you can press Control P and you can set parent to object keep transforms. And there we go. So that's that done now. So there it is. It's also popped up in the outliner in the bathroom tub set. So that's cool. Now that's done, we can actually just grab this empty and we can go ahead and take the whole bath into position as we want it in the bathroom. So we could bring this down, of course. And we can rotate that in the Z axis. So I'll press RZ, 90, enter. And I think I'll go ahead and bring this over. And I think I'm going to scale this up a little bit. So I'll hit S and go ahead and scale this up. Oops, wrong way. Take this up like this. And I think I could scale it up a little bit more, but I don't want to scale up the height anymore. That's plenty in the height. So I'll press S. And now I'll press Shift Z to eliminate the Z axis in the scaling. And now go ahead and scale this up a little bit more again. To maybe something like this. And now go ahead and take this over. I may have actually made that a little bit too big. It looks like I have. It looks like I have. So I'll go ahead and scale this down a little bit. Whoops, wrong way. Take that over again. Scale it down a little bit more. Bring this down on the Z axis. And take that over in the X. Until it's just off the mirror. And see how that looks. And yeah, that's looking good. I'm liking that. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and select the bathroom file again now. And let's go ahead and bring in that vanity that I just saw. I quite like that. So here's this bathroom vanity. And it's got a lot of components with it. It's got a mirror and it's got lights and all that kind of stuff. That's what I want. So I'll right click on that and just have a look at it. It's a 4K image and it's 33 megabytes. That's absolutely fine. I might just actually increase the resolution import to a 1024 by 1024, and then I'll go ahead and left click on the item and bring that in. Okay, this time it does have its own empty, and here it is. So let's go ahead and rotate that in the X axis. So I'll press RX, 90, enter, and let's rotate it in the Z. So I'll press RZ, 180, and click enter, and there we go. So let's go ahead and take that in now on the Y. And bring it down on the Z axis. I'll just rotate round so I can see clearly where we are with this. And maybe take it over in the X and bring it down on the Z like this. Until it's sort of, it needs to be off the floor a little bit. And now we can go ahead and take this back in the Y axis. Take it back a little bit more until it's just touching the wall. And that's good like that. I'll bring it down a little bit more. And take a look at that, and that's looking good to me. I think that's just fine. Okay, so we do have our item. Here it is, and it's the IKEA bathroom. So that is in the bathroom file, so that's exactly where we wanted. Okay, so now we just need to bring in a toilet. So let's do that next. And I think I saw even a toilet here in this group. And here it is right here, and that's kind of what I want, a cisternless toilet with a little flush plate above it. So I like that, so I'll right click and just take a look at it. It's 4K, it's 32 megabytes. I think that's just fine, so I'll go ahead and bring that in as well. And it has got its own empty, so let's go and rotate it on it. So we'll press Y90 and type enter. And that was incorrect. I'll press Ctrl Z just to bring that back again. And let's try that again. It's RX90, enter, and that's better. Let's rotate that on the Z, so we'll press RZ180 and type enter. And let's go and take this back on the Y axis now, until it's up against the wall. I'll just rotate around so we can get a kind of idea of where it is. And bring that down somewhere central between the bath and the vanity. And the scale's looking a bit off, so I'll go ahead and scale this up a little bit like this. And that's better. And I'll bring it down a little bit more to something like this. And now I'll take it back to the wall on the Y axis. And there we go. That's our toilet now in position as well with a flush plate. And let's just check that that's correct. And yeah, that's absolutely fine. That's a nice position on the wall. Okay, so there's our main bathroom suite in. We could actually, if we wanted to, just bring in some shower stuff. Let's just type in shower and see what we get. Type enter. And see what items we have. So here we have like a shower controller, and here we have a nice head. So I think this is kind of the thing that I'm looking for. So I'll just go ahead and grab these. So there's our shower controller, that's come in now. And again, it doesn't actually have its own empty, so I think I'm going to go ahead and put an empty on this. So I'll press Shift A, bring in an empty, and just bring in an arrow set. I'll go ahead and scale this arrow down. I'll hit S and bring this down like this. And I think that's fine now. So I'll grab the actual shower itself, and I'll grab the empty, and then I'll press Ctrl P, and I'll set parent to object and keep transforms. And there we go. So I'll bring this in with its empty. And I'll rotate that on the x-axis, so I'll press RX90, enter. And I think it's supposed to be orientated the other way, not in portrait, but in landscape. So I'll go ahead and rotate that on the Y now. So I'll press RY90, enter. I think that's correct. That's the way I'm going to show mine anyway, so I'll bring that in a little bit more. And now I'll go ahead now, I'll bring in the actual shower head. So I'll grab this one, and there we go. So this one again doesn't have an empty, but it's only one component, so that doesn't really matter. We don't need an empty for one component. So I'll go ahead and rotate down the X, so RX90, enter, and then I'll go ahead and bring that in as well. Alright, so now that we've done that, and I'll grab this one here, hold shift, grab this one, and I'll hit H and just hide those. And now I'll go ahead and bring back the first floor walls. Now that I've done that, we can actually go ahead now and position these where we want them. So I'll grab the shower head first and bring this up to where I kind of want it, which is about there. And then I'll go and take this back until it's just touching the wall. And I'll do the same with the shower controls. I'll just grab the empty and take this back. Again, until this is just touching the wall. There we go, and I'll hit S. Just scale that up just a wee bit. There we go. And let's see if that's kind of in line with the shower head. And I think it is, and I think I'm happy with the height. So that's kind of that done now. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring everything back now. Let's bring back the middle roof and then the roof. And let's compress these files. And let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, so we've got a shower in place, and we've got our bath, and we've got a vanity, and they're all looking good. The only thing is, I think we're missing our timber surfaces. So I'll press Alt H and just go ahead and bring all those items back in. And there we go, that's looking great now. Alright, so that's our bathroom finished. And that's our kind of bedrooms looking good now. So in the next lecture, let's bring back the ground floor too. In our next lecture, let's now just bring in a TV and backlight that. And let's put a nice little light inside our lamp. Alright, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 79. And in this lecture, let's just do a few more small little things, which is I want to put a light in our floor lamp here hanging over the sofa. And we don't have a TV yet on our feature wall. I'd like to put a backlight on that TV as well, just as an extra highlight. So let's go ahead and do those few little things. I think the first thing is come up to the outliner. Let's compress the first floor file, and let's go ahead and hide the entire first floor. Let's open up the ground floor file, and let's go down to interior. And let's go and turn off or hide the ceiling light. And let's go and hide the ground floor lighting for now as well. Okay, so let's actually just click on the interior to make sure what we do comes in on this. And now let's go ahead and grab the lamp. And I'm going to press Shift B just to recenter everything. There we go, on the lamp like that. And I'll go ahead and tap into edit mode. And I'll just grab one face of the lamp. And I'll press Ctrl+ and I'll expand that until I've got that entire shade, the entire shade area of the light. And once I've got that, I'll press Shift S and I'll click on cursor to the selected. There we go, now we can tap out of edit mode and we're good to go. So now that I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is just press Shift A and let's go ahead and bring in a light and let's go ahead and bring in a point light. And there we go. So I'll just bring that down slightly more on the Z axis. And with that still highlighted, I'll come over to here and I'll click on the light and I'll go ahead and increase the power. Maybe to around 70 watts approximately. And I'll just make it a little bit warmer. So I'll bring it into the yellow red a bit more like that. Now you can see it's casting a nice little shadow on that wall, and we can always just go ahead and increase that value if we want to. So I think I'll go ahead and just name this, and I'll call this floor lamp bulb. And there we go, that's done. So we can go and increase the power on that if we want later. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is fix a TV to this wall. I think maybe let's go ahead and hide the ground floor walls. Let's hide those as well, just to make life a little bit easier again. Let's grab this marble panel And let's press Shift S and let's go cursor to the selected. We might as well right click straight away and set the origin to the 3D cursor. There we are. Okay, so let's bring in a TV. So let's go up to Blender Kit and let's type in TV and hit enter and let's see what we get. And let's go ahead and click on the filters and let's go free first. And I'm looking for a wall mounted TV without any kind of feet on it. So that one's got feet on it, so I'd rather see if I can find one without that. This one's got a base stand, so again, not ideal. No. What have we got here? So we got a TV screen here. Again, it's got a base on it. That's not really what I'm looking for. Oh, we got one here. TV screen LED. Let's just see if we've got any more. And we've got this curved one here. And we've got this one here. LG. Oh, that's a monitor. It looks like that's about all we've got. Okay, so let's go back to the LG. I think that'll be fine. So LG OLED TV there. So I think this is about the... Oh no, that's a monitor. Do we not have a TV? Well, we do. We have this one. Now, this one will be fine. Let's have a right click on this and just check. It's a 2K image, 3 megabytes. And is that the only one available? What's this? This might be the thing. Let's right click on this. It's a 6K 15 megabyte file. This is more, I think, what we're looking for. Okay, I'll click off for a minute and I'll increase the resolution to about 1024 by 1024 and I'll go ahead and click on the item and bring it in. Okay, here it is. So let's pull it out on the X. Whoops, not the marble, just the TV. And now let's go ahead and press R and X and 90 to stand it up. And now let's go ahead and press RZ 90 to turn it this way. Alright, so let's see if we can get this TV where we want it. Something like here maybe. And go ahead and take this back a little bit. And I think we need to scale this up, so I'll press S and just scale this up some until it kind of fits this wall and has a bit more of a presence there. And I could scale up slightly in the Y as well, so I'll hit S and Y and just give this a bit more of a wide proportion like that. A widescreen TV, there we go. We'll just zoom in on this and just see if it's close to the wall or close to that marble back panel. I'd say that's about right. I'd say that's good now. So we can just find this now and see where it is, and it's there. So it's the wall TV, 60-inch, already in position. That's good. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is click on the interior file again, and I'll grab this and I'll press Shift A, and I'll go ahead and bring in mesh, and I'll bring in a plane, and there we go. So I'll rotate that. I'll press Y 90 and click enter. Bring it forward slightly, and I'll go ahead and scale that down in the Z, so I'll press SZ and just go ahead and bring that down a little bit like this, maybe a little bit more, so SZ, and go ahead and scale this down, maybe bring it over a little bit in the Y axis, and now scale it up slightly in the Y, so I'll press SY and go ahead and scale this up like this. And there we go, that's cool. I'll pull that closer to the TV. And now let's go ahead and bring up our node texture editor. And with this plane that we've just made, actually let's go ahead and name this. So I'll call this the TV backlight. Oops. And go ahead and click enter. And okay, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead now and give this a color. So let's click on new And let's call this the TV backlight. And click enter again, and we've got ourselves a principal BSDF, and that's the only thing we really need. So the first thing we do is I'm just going to come down here to emission and click on this one, and I'm going to just increase the strength of this emission, and that's going to give us an automatic light to this surface. And I'll give it a slight colour, so I'll go into what shall we go into? What about the reds? And there we go, so that's cool. So we can play around with the emission strength and see what we like. And let's bring stuff back now so we can also see what everything looks like in place. So I'll bring back the ground floor walls, and I'll bring back the first floor, and the ground floor lighting, and the ceiling panel. And now we can see what we've got. So that's nice, actually already nicely backlighting. We could play around with the colour maybe, and it's completely up to you what you do. You could go into greens, whatever sort of works with that marble back panel. The green's quite striking actually. I could come slightly into blue, and I think that's quite nice. So again, if you want to, you can increase the strength of this. So that's quite cool, just like that. I quite like that. That's really highlighting that marble in the background. So we can bring this forward or bring it back, whichever kind of suits it. And I'll kind of leave it, I think, something like this. And another way of adjusting this is we could adjust the alpha on this, which would affect the transparency of that plane, which would of course also affect the emission. So that will be another way of kind of just affecting that light if we wanted to. And yeah, so that's that. I could play around with this all day. But there we go. I'll leave that alone. I'll just keep on playing around with that backlight. But there we go, we've got our TV in place, and we've got a nice light in our lamp now. So those two are really just helping the scene look really good. Okay, so in the next lecture, what we'll do is we'll just briefly touch on what's left on assets to import, and then I'll kind of leave you to it to make this project your own as far as what assets you want to bring in. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 80. And I just want to say that I think this project is just looking really good, and I hope you're pleased with your progress so far. But I think it's time for you all to put your individual stamp on these projects now by importing the remainder of the assets and deciding yourselves what assets you'd want to put in. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same. So when we catch up next, I will have imported the remainder of the assets that I want in this scene. So I'll just run through what I'm personally thinking, but I couldn't highlight this enough that this is very much your project, so you run with it the way that you want. Just also, when you're importing assets, always consider your file sizes. So maybe just consider the VRAM that you're running, and just what I would suggest, if it's hard surfaces, then keep your resolutions when you import from BlenderKit quite low. And if they're like background items, NPCs if you like, non-player characters, if they're background items, like let's go look at the kitchen for a minute, let's zoom in on that, and we've got these cabinets here, and I'll want to put some things in those. So maybe I'll put some teas and coffees and some glasses and some plates and maybe some cereals or something like that, and all those are going to be way back there, not really seen, so I can bring those in at lowest resolution. I'm just going to personally press Shift B for a minute and just square in on this. Just refocus it all. There we go. And what I also want to do with the kitchen is I want to bring in maybe, what do I want to bring in? I'd like to bring in maybe a fruit bowl, and I need to bring in some stools to put against this area here. And maybe a coffee maker on the back here, maybe a drying rack, some teas and coffee making stuff, a toaster maybe, and maybe even a socket panel on the back wall so that you have access to some power. On this wall, possibly maybe a picture or something, or a pin board, because it's quite a big empty space. And of course we've got this big space in the middle, so that really is up to you what you want to do with it. Whether you want to put a nice big central dining table with chairs, or whether you want to put a gym area in there, an office area in there. It's completely up to you. You could put a grand piano in the middle, that'd be quite cool. But yeah, it's up to you. On the outside, I'm going to put some lounges just to fill this area, and maybe a outdoor small table and a couple of chairs in this side here. I'll look at barbecues. I might put a barbecue out here. I'm not sure yet. And maybe on this wall I might put some sort of plant in the corner, and a coffee table here, and I might make another copy of the rugs we've used upstairs and bring those down and put one here as well. I haven't decided that yet. I'm not sure. And maybe a speaker here under the TV, and again maybe some switches down at the base here, just to show that we're thinking that people are going to need power. On the upstairs, what am I going to do there? So I think we need a chair here, and maybe a focus point here, so maybe a desk, maybe, I don't know yet, and maybe something on these walls as well, because they're quite big empty spaces, so maybe some personal photographs or something, or again some more artwork on these walls. It's completely up to you. And in the bathroom, I don't think I want to do much more with the bathroom, really. I think I'm pretty much there with that. I might put some sort of plant in this corner just to show a little bit of greenery. And on this back wall here, I might put some sort of bench in, maybe where someone can sit. I might consider putting a small table in the corner here, but I'm not sure about that yet. I'll just see how I go there. And in the master bedroom here, again, I'll put some sort of little... oh, we got some stuff missing on this. Let me just go to the first floor file and turn everything on and see what's missing. Bedroom 1, we've got the bifolding doors missing. Let's bring those back in. There we go. And so anyway, where was I? Sorry. I might put some sort of small table here and a couple of chairs to enjoy this beautiful view that they've got. And yeah, definitely a chair here and something on these shelves. Probably some books would be nice on these shelves. Maybe a hairdryer laying here or something like this. It's completely up to you. That's my point. Actually, I'm going to keep on talking for a second. So I'm going to put some bedside tables in here. That's a definite. On the other bed as well, and possibly some sort of little reading lamp, and maybe something to suggest someone is actually reading. So maybe a book sitting on this bedside table, something like that. Maybe a pair of glasses on it. Whatever really is in Blender Kit. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now, and I'll catch up with you after I've done that and when you've done the same as well. If you have any problems with file sizes, what you can always do is the very last lecture is my troubleshooting lecture, and in that lecture I do sort of cover what you can do to reduce your file sizes. So you can always refer to that you can always refer to that last lecture if you want to see how you can reduce your file sizes, because there are different ways that you can do that if you're struggling with GPU memory size. Okay, so let's get busy, and I'll see you when I've populated my scene. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 81. And yeah, I mean, I've completed bringing in all the assets that I want in my project, and hopefully you've done the same. And I really want to hope that yours looks different to mine. This is the opportunity really to make the project your own, and I really can't wait to see your projects. That'll be a lot of fun to see the directions that you've taken your projects and see what assets you've brought in to make yours look different. Anyway, so I just want to walk around mine and just show you what I've imported to give you some idea. And then in the next lecture, this is going to be only a short lecture, by the way. In the next lecture, we will start presenting our projects, because ultimately we've finished now, guys. This is it. Well done. We've finished our project and they look amazing. So what we need to do now is present our project potentially to your clients. So we're going to do some still renders and we're going to do some animations. The still renders shouldn't take too long. That's quite a nice light thing to talk about, but it will take us a while to do renders. Not only to do the actual renders, or the animated renders, I'm sorry, it will take a while to do those, but then actually to bring those together using Blender's video editor, edit them all into one video, apply some sound to it, may take a while. But I'm getting ahead of myself really. Let's look at this one first in this lecture, then in the next lecture let's start tackles renderings. Alright, so what I'm going to do is press Shift and the tilde key, so I can go into Blender's walk fly mode, and then I'll hit the tab key to apply a little bit of gravity. And I think I'm standing on a table. I'm standing on the wall. That's why I feel a little bit tall. So I'll hit the W key, bring me forward, and I'll jump off the wall. So I've put a ladder on the pool here. I've done that, and I brought this really nice outdoor table set in. I'm really impressed with this. And just put this here, so you've got somewhere nice to maybe drink a coffee or a cold beer and look at the view. I've also put some nice sun lounges in as well. It's going to be a little bit jumpy because I've got a lot going on in the scene, so you sort of have to bear with it a little bit. Here in the kitchen, I've put some stools in. So I put 3 stools in like this. On this little table here, I've got a little coffee pot, and I've got 2 coffees and a couple of pastries. I've got a little bit of wall art there too, and in these cabinets up here I've got some cereal in there, and I've got some mixers, and I've got a coffee maker on the worktop there, and some knives, and I've got some other little things as well, some mugs and different things, just to populate the kitchen and make it a little bit more convincing. And we've got fruit bowl on the table, of course, and a nice little kettle. We've got the sort of centerpiece. We've got this beautiful dining table. I really like this. And we've got some sort of center decorations on that. These 3 wood turn little bowls. And we've got a nice set of dining chairs around there too. There we go. I brought in a plant as well, just to sort of fill this corner here and add a splash of colour, and I've got for some nice artwork just to fill that wall, and then a coffee table, it's a really nice coffee table, and then a book and a pair of glasses just to sort of suggest who this person is and what they like to do. Okay, let's see if I can navigate the stairs in walk fly mode. I'll give it a shot. This may go very wrong. So I'll go up the stairs. And I already feel like it's going wrong. And see if I can head to the light. And I'm like, hey, I'm in the bathroom. I landed in the bathroom. Let's leave the bathroom because we know what we've done in the bathroom already. We've done that together. We've got the bath and we've got the vanity, and it's all looking very good, but we kind of know what we've got in here. So again, I've got this same table that we put on the ground floor. I put in the ground floor just over there. I've put here, but I've taken 2 chairs away just to make it a bit more compressed into the corner, and I thought this is another nice place to just enjoy this view. In the master bedroom, I've got some bedside cabinets, of course, and I've got some little reading lamps or little table lamps on there too. And another nice pair of chairs with another little centre little table, just again another place to enjoy the view. And I've got a nice little wall mirror on there as well, just to add some extra depth to the wall, to the room, and just to put something in that big space. I've put some books there on the shelf, and just to give it a human element, I've put a teddy bear there. Again, just to put a human element in this project. I like to do that. I don't like everything to look so clinical, and to give something a human element so that people might picture themselves living in our projects. Okay, so in the other room, it's much as the same really. So I've got the same bedside cabinets, and I've got the same lamps just to reduce file sizes and keep everything light. I have the same books here, and I didn't put the teddy in on this one, and I have the same chair there. What I do have different is I thought I'd bring a workstation into this bedroom. So I've got a nice looking little table, and I've got a desktop PC and a chair, and then a book that the person might be using as a reference for whatever they're working on. And I've got a very low poly bookcase here, and it is low poly, but that's okay. I think at a distance, I don't think you'll ever notice it, and I'll make sure as I'm doing my animations that I never really dwell on that too long, so I think it'll be fun. And yeah, that's what I've got. I'm going to hit the escape key now to get out of Walkfly, and that'll bring me back to where I was. And that's the project, and that's what I've kind of put in it, and now I'm happy with where it is. So in the next lecture, let's do what I talked about before. Let's start doing some really nice high quality still renders. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now.